The dust swirled under the harsh summer sun as the crowd gathered at the edge of the town square, their eyes fixed on the wooden platform where lives were about to be bartered like cattle. A girl stood there, no more than 19, her wrists bound in front of her, her long auburn hair tangled from struggle. Her dress, once sky blue, was now smeared with dust and shame. But even so, there was something in her eyes, something unbroken. Her name was Clara Mae. And though the townsfolk had come for a sale, what they got was a storm. Clara's story didn't start on the auction block. It started far out beyond the prairie, in the green fields of Willow Bend, where she lived with her father, a proud but poor farmer. Life was hard, but peaceful. That changed when her father died suddenly during the winter, and debts came crawling like snakes from under rocks. The sheriff showed up 2 weeks after the funeral. He didn't knock. He didn't offer condolences. He handed her papers. The farm was no longer hers. The land had been claimed by a local tycoon, Jedediah Crane, a man known for buying everything in sight, including people. Clara resisted. She tried to fight, begged the judge in town, even tried to work the fields herself. But a single girl alone had no chance. She was dragged from her home under the pretense of owing unpaid debts and sold to Crane's auction company like a piece of meat. The crowd murmured as the auctioneer called out her name. Strong hands. Good bones. Good for field or housework. Let's start the bidding at $40. Laughter rippled through the air as dirty men pushed forward, holding up hands, tossing coins. Clara didn't cry. She didn't scream. She stood still, proud. If they were going to take her, she'd make sure they saw they hadn't broken her spirit. Then suddenly, hooves. Thunder. A cloud of dust exploded down the main road as a rider tore into town, black horse lathered with sweat, its eyes wild. The rider leaned forward, hat low over his brow, coat flapping behind him like the wings of a storm. He pulled the reins hard, and the horse slid to a halt in front of the platform. He stood in the stirrups, his voice sharp and clear. She's not for sale. Gasps ran through the crowd. Someone whispered, "Is that?" It was Elijah Carson. A rancher from the northern plains. Quiet. Reclusive. Some said he used to be a bounty hunter. Others said he once stood off an entire gang with nothing but a broken rifle and a rope. What no one knew until now was that Clara Mae once saved him. 2 winters ago, Elijah had been bleeding out in the snow after chasing a wanted man near Willow Bend. His horse had thrown him, and he'd been left to die in a storm. Clara, only 17 then, had found him, half frozen behind a ridge, and dragged him to her father's barn. She nursed him for a week, asked no questions, took no payment. When he left, he promised, "One day, if you ever need me, I'll come." She never thought he meant it. But now here he was. The sheriff stepped forward, face hard. "This here's legal business, Carson. Back off." Elijah didn't flinch. He dismounted and stepped up to the platform. "She didn't sign anything. She didn't agree to this. And even if she had, this ain't a market. She's a human being." Jedediah Crane, watching from behind his carriage, sneered. "You want her? Pay up like the rest of them." Elijah pulled something from his saddlebag. A deed. Sealed and signed. Bought back her father's land. Paid off every cent of debt, including what you forged. And this, he held up another paper, is her writ of freedom. Stamped by the judge this morning in Barrow Creek. The crowd gasped. The sheriff stammered, but how? "I rode through the night. Because when a good woman saves your life, you don't let her get sold." He walked up to Clara, his voice quiet now. "Let's go home." For a moment, Clara couldn't speak. Her hands trembled. Her throat burned. No one had ever come for her before. She nodded slowly. And as Elijah cut the rope from her wrists, she looked out at the crowd, not with anger, but with a silent strength they would never forget. She stepped off the platform. Walked past the stunned sheriff. Past Crane, red with fury. And climbed onto Elijah's horse. They rode out of town together, side by side, leaving behind whispers and regret. Back at Willow Bend, Clara found her farmhouse still standing. The land waiting. The past behind her, but not forgotten. Over time, the land flourished. Elijah built a home nearby, and though he never pressed, he was always there. And one spring morning, Clara asked him to stay. Not out of gratitude. Not from debt. But because love had grown where sorrow once lived. In the end, Clara's story wasn't about being rescued. It was about what happens when one act of kindness becomes a chain of redemption. She wasn't just the girl on the auction block. She was the woman who survived it and helped another man remember what it meant to live with honor. And now, every spring when the wind blows through Willow Bend, and the flowers bloom by the old fence line, folks say they can hear hooves in the distance. Not the kind that bring fear. The kind that bring hope.